want them to do? Do you literally just want them to kill themselves? Because putting money where their mouth is obviously doesn't do it, because it doesn't matter where they put their money, because now wherever they put that money is now, it's a stunt. You have to kill yourself. Do not put your money anywhere else, because now you have sullied that new organization. I want to talk about this real quick. This is my off-the-cuff initial reaction, and then I'll share some interaction with somebody that on Twitter, and I'm just kind of like, All right, so first let's watch the video.
Security.
So, tweet goes, activists with Just Stop Oil have thrown tomato soup on Van Gogh's sunflowers at the National Gallery and glued themselves to the wall. So, quick, right off the bat, you can kind of tell when you see in here, there's a glass there. There's nothing, they didn't hurt the Van Gogh. So that's number one, right? When we go into the why, right? So a lot of people had a really good, and I did too. I was like, what does the painting have to do with oil? I don't understand what's going on. What is this? So then I see this one.
What is worth more, art or life? Is it worth more than food? Worth more than justice? Are you more concerned about the protection of a painting or the protection of our planet and people? The cost of living crisis is part of the cost of oil crisis. Fuel is unaffordable to millions of cold, hungry families. They can't even afford to heat a tin of soup.
Okay, and yes, they belong in Game of Thrones. The passion, and the accent, right? So then I watched that, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get what they're doing. Is it cringe? Is it, would I do something like that? No. But I understand. And so it's not that the painting has anything to do with oil. It's not that the museum did something bad. It's to cause a reaction, initial reaction. You heard the gasps at the beginning of the video, the like, oh my God, like, right? Because that person probably just, I wouldn't have known there was glass there, right? So like, oh, this priceless historical painting is now destroyed. And so what these young women are doing, these young people are doing, is saying, do you feel that? Do you feel the shock for this painting, for an object? The anger that you probably feel at me right now? Do you feel that? Could you please have that feeling for the destruction of the planet? Plus, they chose Van Gogh. I can only assume they chose it because society wouldn't lend them their You made me read the whole thing. That's nice. You buried the punchline at the end. So I'm like, this is. I'm okay with it. Okay, I am all right with it. But then I get into this interaction, and I'm like, I don't think this individual is being like, he's not attacking me or anything like that. But just so I can, for my own conscience, I know nobody here would do that. And again, it's not like I'm sitting here with a giant fucking audience or something, but. Don't jump on this thread or engage or talk shit or anything like that. That includes to me. Like, don't jump on the thread and shit on me either, please. Thanks. So, how does this help their point? I was like, and then I explained kind of what I just said here. So I'm like, I think it's a two-step process. They want you to feel that shock, and then once you find out that, especially now that we know that the painting's fine, then hear their message and then go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. All this anger for this. Nobody's that angry about the planet. Except this is a work of art done by someone with severe mental issues. I'm like, okay, so so when people start throwing this in, you're starting to like, do an appeal to emotion thing. Are you insinuating that there's ableism involved here or what? No, they're just taking a priceless photo and they did it, right? And they're going to pick something super recognizable because that's how you do it to get your action on the news. If it was a artist that nobody's ever heard of, then you know what I mean. Like, if the Mona Lisa had been had been accessible, they probably would have done there. You know. And so my point is like, well, the art isn't destroyed, and that makes it okay. And we kind of do this whole back and forth thing where eventually they're like, so again, it's all right to commit a crime if you didn't intend to do harm. I'm like, some people conflate like things being legal with being immoral, and no, I don't care about whether or not it was illegal. We can have a discussion on whether or not this was effective, right? I mean, earlier, I just think these stunts normally don't get the results they want to. I'm the writer, right? And that's probably true, right? But I think we're working off, when it comes to people like this, we're working off the law of averages, right? And so if I'm an activist and I'm going to do something like shocking like this, like let's say they knew there was no glass on it. Let's say the painting was actually destroyed. And so what I hope is I go, you know what? 1,000,000 people are going to be super angry with me. They're going to want me put in prison for the rest of my life, right? But if 1,000 people see that and now they've heard our message and they're driven to action, right, to activism from this message, then good. 1,000,000 people angry at me, wanted me in prison. 1,000 people are now have heard it who might have not in this life before, and that's the point. And they're right because we're talking about it, right? I mean, people are like, yeah, but we're not talking about it the way they want to. Nope. You know, they say, nope, no press is bad press. This is all over the place. And once people stop talking about whether it was effective or not, you're still, in order to talk about it being effective, there are other tweets talking about, hey, why didn't you do this? Wouldn't it have been more effective if you did this? If you threw it at a politician instead? Or if you blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, good ideas. Get this conversation going, you know? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like, I just didn't understand why people don't understand that. First of all, depending on the situation, I'm not talking about like, is slavery okay? But there are topics where it's okay to disagree on, and you don't have to hate the person or think the other person's a bad person for thinking this. You know what I mean? If you think slavery is okay, no, that's not you're a piece of shit, and go away somewhere else, right? You know, off a cliff. But if you're like, I think this person was stupid for throwing paint on the deal, and I go, that's fair. That's fair. I think it was a good deal. I think it was effective. I would assume another rational individual to go, all right, I disagree with you. You know, I don't think it was effective. I'm like, okay. And then you fucking go about your own way. People get so fucking like emotional about things that they really don't give a fuck about. I really like the way this person said it. I like pointing out when people say things better than I do, which happens very often. Lauren, not a big jerk. I don't really think it's worth getting that worked up about this stuff if you're not personally willing to go to jail for doing something more effective. Just my opinion. This will make people hostile to more effective climate protests, bro. Bro, if throwing soup on a painting makes a reactionary hostile to climate protests, they are really gonna hate something that actually makes a difference. There's another one here that talks about, I can't find it right now, but she wrote something regarding like the civility paradox, where it's like, if you do something civil, then no one's gonna hear about it. But if you do something extreme, right, and often that means that it's illegal, then everyone's gonna hear about it, but you might turn off some people, and you're gonna get a lot of bad, negative attention too, right? And so you got to kind of figure out a way to balance that. In this particular case, the painting's fine. Everybody's talking about it, and while some of the conversations are not about oil or energy or the environment, there's bound to be conversations that do end up in that, and I think it's fine. I also think that while some of these stunts end up backfiring, the whole point is protest to make things uncomfortable, to motivate change and bring awareness. Absolutely. You know what this kind of sounds like to me? Whenever people are like, not like that, it reminds me of people like mad at the way BLM like supporters, allies, black and brown people, the way they protested, right? So it's either march peacefully. No, not like that. Well, then you have kneeling, right, with Kaepernick and the way he started, which is, you can't get more peaceful than that. Not like that. So then it's like, so then we're gonna run down the street, and there's gonna be a small portion of us that might destroy shit out of anger or opportunity, whatever. And then you're like, not like that. And it's like, look, they don't even want you to be in the street. They don't want you protesting with signs. They want you, whatever they want you to do is going to be the least effective way to get your word out. Is there really a good way to bring awareness to the climate though? I'm old enough to remember the 90s and the late 80s of throwing paint on people wearing mink furs, right? And then all the organizations started coming out where you realize they're trapping and en masse all these minks, these little animals, right? And slaughtering them because they're not very big, slaughtering tons of them to make these mink fur coats, right? And so what would they do? They throw paint on them. Now, arguments for that time were, and I remember because I'm from a conservative family, and so family and stuff like that. I would hear. I was young, but you would hear it from the perspective of those idiots. You think they're gonna get people to listen to them by throwing paint on them? All you're doing is pissing them off. Like you cost somebody thousands of dollars. Blah blah blah. What happened to the mink fur industry right now? It's tanked. It's tanked. Like the idea of making luxury synthetic furs, that's what's hot now, you know. And it's like it's not cool to have a mink fur coat anymore, and everybody, you know what I mean, of a certain age knows about throwing paint, sometimes animal blood, on people walking out of stores with mink fur coats. It's effective. Next time make it feces, then they wish it was soup. Yeah, exactly. There's no right way, and the people who say that's the approved protest is always corralled and outbid that way, which makes it basically an impotent act of protest. Yeah. So I don't know what this is about. Let's look. Let's do this together. He tweets at me. Also, it looks like it was a stunt. Okay. So before I go any further, sometimes people come up with like we'll find out stuff like this and go, "Damn, I was wrong." And it's like, that's not logical. That's not a logical follow. Like, I don't feel bad. Even if this is true, right? We'll go on. But wouldn't feel bad for coming to the position like if Bernie Sanders tomorrow, you find some hidden video where him and Donald Trump are laughing and they're both saying the N-word a bunch of times. The people who don't like Bernie Sanders are gonna go, see, I told you, bet you feel stupid now. No, why would I? I didn't know that before. So who cares? I don't, but let's see. Well, shit. Just Stop Oil, the one the activists were a part of, is funded by a philanthropy organization, the Climate Emergency Fund, which was founded by oil heiress Eileen Getty, who funds Stop Oil. Bernie hates Jews, knew it. Yep. Yeah. I told you the whole time. Bet you feel dumb now. The Climate Emergency Fund, Just Stop Oil, are funded by the Climate Emergency Fund, a Los Angeles-based organization created by 3 millionaires in 2019 to support environmental activism. Okay. Eileen Getty, co-founder and board member. Let's not forget that we're talking about extinction, Ms. Getty wrote in an email. Don't we have a responsibility to take every means of trying to protect life on Earth? Okay. Eileen Getty lists stunning townhouse bought 3 years ago from Adam Dell. Okay. So this article is written by Laura Euler about Eileen Getty lists stunning townhome bought 3 years ago from Adam Dell. Okay. And extremely rich people are not like the rest of us. They buy and sell high-end properties the way the rest of us buy shoes. And Eileen Getty, scion of the oil family, is a great example. To wit, in June 2019, she purchased a stunning townhouse in New York's West Village from venture capitalist Adam Dell for $19 million. Now, just 3 years later, the serial buyer and seller is off to pastures new, asking $25 million for. Okay, so this is like she bought an expensive house. All right, okay, all right. Look. Why does that make it a stunt. Like, where is the line between she was filthy rich and it was a stunt? Like we're talking all caps. This is literal, sincere confusion on where is the logical line between, haha, an heiress, a very rich person, started a philanthropy organization, and that philanthropy organization funds Just Stop Oil. Okay, but just because she's an oil baroness doesn't mean she doesn't care about the environment. She isn't a socialist. No, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm legit. Yeah. No. Yeah, for sure. I'm talking about me. I'm not trying to be like an asshole. Like, just like, let me dunk on this dude who's not here to defend himself. But like, who cares about who said it? Like, this because all the comments are the same. So this really doesn't have dick to do with this dude. When you go down here, look. Yeah, I have absolutely no faith in this group after learning who's paying the bills. Like, why are people? That's all I gotta say. And this is that kind of weird mentality that I really don't understand, where it's like, listen, yes, every billionaire is a policy failure. You know what's funny? So check this out. We talk about generational wealth, right? We talk about that's like one of right? Isn't that one of like the main talking points with regard to understanding the problem with capitalism, especially in the context of a country like the United States? We talk about, generational wealth and the way that the system has systemically cut non-white people out of that, and even a lot of white people, right? I mean, you have poor white people, but you keeping the money funneled in a very select few wealthy families, right? And so what is the thing that they say? Well, if you have that much money, you're supposed to do something good with it. So now we have somebody who did not earn their money, who literally is just benefiting from generational wealth. That's what it means to be an heiress. It doesn't say CEO. She's an heiress, which means she popped out of a vagina and was immediately richer than 99.99% of the people on Earth. Okay? Like, that is what she did. And then, and she might be a piece of shit. Like, who cares? I'm just going off of what the dots you want me to connect, right? She absolutely still might be a piece of shit. The organization might be a tax shelter, and she only is doing this to keep her whatever. Okay, show me that, right? But as far as what you are presenting, these people, as far as what you are presenting to me as proof that she is automatically shit, is she's rich, and it literally stops there. There is nothing beyond she is a very rich person. She might just be somebody who is super rich and doing everything that people have been asking that say rich people should do. Put your money and do something about it. And she goes, you know what? I can't help that I'm super fucking rich due to where my family's money, but I'm going to do something with this money, and they're not going to be able to stop me. And I'm going to start this philanthropy organization that tackles the environmental problem. And there's this activist organization. You know what? That's where my money's gonna go. I'm gonna put my money into this organization. I'm gonna found it, and then I'm gonna make sure that money goes towards an activist organization. And I'm still gonna get shit on for it. Like, what do you want them to do? Do you literally just want them to kill themselves? Because putting money where their mouth is obviously doesn't do it, because it doesn't matter where they put their money, because now wherever they put that money is now, it's a stunt. You have to kill yourself. Do not put your money anywhere else, because now you have sullied that new organization. And I'm sorry. The fact that not an oil company owner, not an oil CEO, but someone who is super rich because their family is in oil, starts a philanthropy organization and then uses that organization to fund eco activism. Do you want to be sus about it? Makes sense. Maybe I should be more sus. Maybe I should be squinting my eyes a little more. And I think that's fair. I don't like these throwing shit at paintings protests. It makes activists look petty. It gets attention with the wrong kind. Maybe, yeah. I think that's a valid point. Certainly not an unpopular one. So even if it was a stunt, how does that change what she did and said? Yeah, right. Do you remember all the graffiti on? Let's see. Now I'm not. This is. I will admit this is apples and oranges here. It's not like they defaced the Mona Lisa because of BLM. You know what I mean? Because of accountability for police, right? And I think that's fair. I think that's fair to acknowledge, right? But that's not really my point. The point is what if I'm a part of some police accountability organization? I go out here, I deface this, I give a moving speech, it's trending, and people are talking about police accountability. And then you find out that my organization is run by some dude who's extremely rich, and his family, not him, owns private prisons. Like, does that now, right? Like an alternate reality A, that's not who owns my organization, and I'm like, fuck yeah, right? But then same exact event, and it's a dude who doesn't own a company, but he's rich because his family owns private prisons. Does that change the effectiveness of what happened or the legitimacy of the message? Oh, exactly. I don't think it changes anything, right? I really don't.